You're ready to put on your space cowboy suit and also buy yourself a flying car with all the dirty profits we'll be making when we finally understand the secrets of crypto investing and how the blockchain works. We're also going to find out things such as, is it too late to invest in crypto? How a record number of private jets being sold this year is even related, and also figure out what type of investor you want to be. Degenerate. We won't just be focusing on how to buy Bitcoin because that's like a 1-minute video. We're gonna be focusing on those 200 level IQ plays and also gaining knowledge so that we can make those disgusting gains.
Disgusting shit.
I'm actually confident enough to say that this is one of the most empowering and, dare I say, life-changing pieces of knowledge you will ever hear about. It's almost like the stuff that you really wish they taught you in school. Not only will this really shatter your entire perception of the future, but also the way that you see how money works. And after this video, you might even be lucky enough to become a degenerate like me. I first invested into Bitcoin around 4 years ago, and I even bought a $5,000 mining rig. But since I didn't understand the why behind Bitcoin, I actually sold the mining rig and all my cryptos back then, which would have been worth around $200,000 today. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But at least it's not like the guy who bought pizza for 10,000 Bitcoin, which would have been worth around $600 million today. So let's get the simplest step over with first, and that is how to buy Bitcoin. If you're already big-brained enough, then you can skip over to this timestamp. But if you haven't already activated two-factor authentication, I highly recommend you do not skip. I do also drop some dank memes if that's also the reason why you watch my videos. This is honestly extremely easy and should take you less than 30 minutes. It can even be done entirely on your phone and only involves 4 quick steps. So step number 1 is picking an exchange. This is like picking a bank that you want to do investments with, except crypto exchanges don't try to screw you over with a ton of super high fees. So I recommend Binance as the first exchange just because it has the lowest fees. Coinbase, Newton, and KuCoin are all equally as safe and have the same functionalities, all of which you can find the links in the description down below, where you can get up to $250 in free Bitcoin when you do sign up with the links. Step number 2 is go through the sign up process, where you'll need to verify your identity just like if you were at a bank, simply because these exchanges are audited by the government. After verifying, you then fund your account. I highly recommend starting off with something small like $100, just so that you can get a feel for how things are before you actually fully commit to investing a whole ton more. It's like dating someone. You should get to know them a little bit better, maybe hold hands and progress from there on and there forth. But you can obviously do whatever you want. You can go straight to smashing. I ain't your mom, I ain't a financial advisor. Just a quick little recommendation. Anyways, you can start with using either bank deposit or you can use your card as well. If you are moving some fat stacks of cash, I recommend just to choose bank deposit because credit card does come with a small fee. So after you've already gone through the sign up process, you should be logged in, which is step number 1. And then select the currency that you want to deposit. Step number 3 is enter in the information, whether that be your card or the bank deposit. Step number 4, enter in the amount. And then step number 5, the amount will be added to your balance. The third step is to add an extra layer of security, which is two-factor authentication, which means that there's 2 steps required to log into your account. So the first one is your password, and then the second step is a code either sent to you by a text message or by an authentication app. In this case, it's going to be an authentication app, and these steps are very similar on how to activate it, whether you're using Coinbase, Newton, KuCoin, Binance, it's all pretty much the same thing. So if a hacker were to ever get access to your account with a password, it's very, very unlikely that they're gonna also have access to your phone or the authentication app by Google. So step number one is you're already inside Binance or whatever other crypto exchange you're using. Step number two is go to click to enable and then go to Google Authenticator. Step number three, simply follow the instructions. You're just gonna have to use your phone to scan the QR code and then enter in the, should be about 6-digit code into the exchange. And then you save the backup code to a piece of paper or write it down somewhere just in case you lose it. And then you verify on the 2FA device. And then lastly, you will have successfully enabled Google Authenticator to protect your account and pretty much be unhackable at that point. And the last step is to buy your cryptocurrency. I highly recommend just to start off with Bitcoin, just because as a beginner, this is what you want to start off with, is the most stable basic coin before you start playing with other altcoins out there. But if you're a natural degenerate, then you can just buy whatever you want, but that's obviously not financial advice. So on the exchange, you want to first click on buy now, or you can click on trade, and then you can choose your cryptocurrency. Obviously Bitcoin, highly recommend to start off with that first. And then with all the other banking information or credit card that you filled out before, that should already be there. And then step number 5, your card or information should already be added. Step number 6 is the last page to verify that everything is correct. And then step number 7, you will be asked to enter in the 2-factor authentication and also usually a text message. And then after that, everything should be complete. It does take a few seconds to a few minutes for everything to go through. And then after that, you should see all your cryptocurrency inside of your wallet. And that is the super simple 4-step process on how to buy crypto. Welcome to the future. If you're a little noob, maybe you're forgetful, maybe a bit clumsy, or you just have a really bad pullout game, or you're the type to be paranoid of losing all your crypto or getting hacked, I highly recommend to put on some protection before you penetrate into the crypto space. I'm obviously talking about a ledger, which stores all your crypto coins offline and also requires a PIN code. Even if you lose your ledger or it gets stolen, you can easily recover all your funds because it comes with a recovery phrase. And even if a hacker were to get access to your password, they would still need to enter the PIN code on the ledger, which is pretty much impossible. Surprisingly, I actually don't own a ledger just because I have a really strong pullout game. Alright, jokes aside, I do have a ledger and I also have a laptop that I do all my cryptos on separately. Having a laptop though is a little bit redundant, kind of like putting on 2 condoms. So just know that a ledger is in itself completely sufficient. So if you want peace of mind, head on over to Amazon and buy yourself a ledger. Speaking of protection, here's a big thank you to today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. Protecting your coins and privacy is absolutely essential. Hackers first gather data on their victims before they attack. This can easily be stopped in the very beginning with Atlas VPN's Data Breach Monitor. It's a feature that scans the internet and notifies you if your personal information is exposed, and even stops ads and malware. And right now, Atlas VPN has the best deal in the current market. With only $1.39 per month, you get 3 months for free and even a 30-day money-back guarantee. It is for a very limited time, so click the link in the video description below. Even if you're gaming, streaming shows, or watching my degeneracy, you still get some blazing fast speeds. You also get protection for an unlimited amount of devices, whether that be your computer, laptop, your phone, maybe your second phone for whatever sus reason, they're all protected under one single subscription. And you even get some amazing deals for shopping online, such as subscriptions for Netflix, Shopify, and a whole ton more. So get your subscription while they have a massive discount for only $1.39 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get Atlas VPN before time runs out by clicking the special link in the video description below. If you invest in crypto without having the knowledge and understanding the why behind it, you're either going to lose out a whole ton of profits on the huge opportunity, or you're going to be an emotional trader. And emotional traders are the ones who get screwed out of their money. And let's face it, if we aren't logical, we're emotional, and we're going to make emotional decisions. Because when, not if, there are price fluctuations, you want to be empowered so that you can see the entire bigger picture. It's like if you bought a house for $100,000 and you lived in it, but then some random person comes along and says that they want to buy it for $50,000. Doesn't really make sense because you've already lived in the house, you already know the value of it, you already got it inspected, you already see the bigger picture, and you already know the true intrinsic value. So you'll either end up as one of two things. You're either going to be super paranoid, constantly checking the price, and just being super worried about the price because they really know nothing. Or you can be someone who has very little to worry because they understand the fundamentals and they also know the why behind it. Now I'm going to share an insane true story with you that usually whenever I tell my clients, sometimes friends, sometimes family, they go through two emotional phases, which usually starts off with them being super pissed off. But then I see almost a light shine up in their eyes, and it's like some sort of divine truth has come over them that everything slowly starts to make sense. I don't need to be a doctor to tell you this, but when you go through the same two emotions, just know that it is normal. And this story is one that you're going to be sharing with your future grandchildren. So without further ado, prepare to be empowered. Imagine you are living on the beautiful plains of Africa in the 1750s, and you are trying to make a living by being a lion hunter, and you're trying to support your family, and you're also trying to make a little bit of money by selling it in the marketplace. Now, back then, they did not use coins as currency. Instead, they used seashells, more specifically cowrie shells. They were limited in supply in Africa, and it was very hard for anyone to counterfeit. So it was very convenient to be used as currency. So there you are a proud lion hunter, able to support your family and making a decent living and stacking some seashells. You might even say that you are having a comfortable living. And then the Europeans come. They've already explored the world, they've traded with multiple countries, and their technology is a lot more advanced. They use gold coins as currency. So when they see you and everyone else in Africa using seashells as currency, they think to themselves, wait a second, didn't we just see a ton of these seashells in Asia? So the Europeans quickly bounce out of Africa and they head on over to Asia and start mining these seashells for dirt cheap, filling a ton of these boats with all these seashells, heading on back over to Africa and flood their entire economy with their infinite amount of seashells. So then the Europeans start buying up all the food, all the houses, all the land, all of the limited resources with their infinite amount of seashells. This results in yours and everyone else's seashells being completely worthless in value until they turn you and your fellow Africans into slaves. The end. And that true story is how inflation works. The Europeans, who were the centralized controllers, inflated the African economy with pretty much infinite amounts of seashells. Money is just an abstract representation of time. When you work a job, you get paid on an hourly basis. We invest our time for pieces of paper, basically. And unless you've been living under a rock, you've noticed that everything has been getting hella expensive. Things like houses, cars, groceries, cute little dogs, literally everything has been going up in price, except for one thing, and that is wages. But the thing is, it's not that things are getting more expensive, it's actually because our money is getting less valuable. And after hearing that story, some of you might be thinking, whoa, wait a second, Jack, isn't that happening right now? Well, yes, in fact, 40% of all dollars in existence were printed in the last 12 months.
What?
Fiat currency, which is just a fancy word for money that is not backed by anything, it is fundamentally flawed. The United States dollar, the euro, they are fundamentally flawed. And history shows again and again that fiat currencies always collapse. A really famous example is the mighty Roman Empire, which had a population of around 130 million people, which, remember, that was back in 170 AD, still collapsed because of inflation. So while the government prints money out of thin air, while we, the people, work hard for our pieces of paper that get more and more worthless every single day. And I'm not sure if you remember around 10 years ago, but you could buy a chocolate bar for around $1, but these days it's $3, $4. And it's, again, not because things are getting more expensive, but because our money is becoming less valuable. And yes, you do have every right to be pissed off because you have your nurses, your office workers, blue-collar workers doing hard physical labor, waiters, cashiers, all getting pimped out and slapped by the government. So whenever you hear them printing money, just know for a fact that they are literally stealing our time, years and years of it, just making us work harder and longer to save for a house, save for a car, support and actually raise a family, and also get that sick Lambo. So yes, without a doubt, this is modern day slavery. The great news is that blockchain is our Lord and Savior, and what you're about to see here will change the way you view the entire world. I also haven't seen anyone explain it in a much more easy to understand way like this. And even if you understand blockchain, this super duper easy example will be extremely easy to explain to someone next time they ask how to buy Bitcoin or what exactly is blockchain. So imagine you and me are in a room with 4 other people. There's one piece of paper and it has written down how much money each person has. So you have Tree Fitty, I got $69, Doge has $1, Elon has 420, Goku has 9,001, and Jay-Z has $99. In a centralized system, a small group of people would have control over this piece of paper. So in this situation, one person would have all the responsibility, and we already know how great a centralized system does. In a decentralized system, instead of one person being in control of one paper, everyone is in control of their own piece of paper. And it's also anonymous. So in the example, it would still be you, me, Doge, Elon, Goku, and Jay-Z, except we're just going to use acronyms. Also in this decentralized system, we do something called peer-to-peer, which means that we verify each other's balances. So for example, Goku would give $1 over to Jay, and then we would all peer-to-peer or verify that transaction, and then this balance would be updated on everybody's piece of paper. This is called peer-to-peer. But then let's just say I want a sick $10 million yacht. No one's really gonna notice that I'm just gonna write a ton of zeros on here. So then I'd have $69 million. No one's gonna notice, right? Well, they are, because when a peer-to-peer check happens, everybody is gonna notice that on their pieces of paper, I still have $69. So everybody except for my piece of paper, and they're gonna know that I'm straight up capping and trying to cheat the system. And this is how a peer-to-peer decentralized system works, where no one is allowed to inflate the currency and screw everybody over. And also it's decentralized in that everybody else is in control of their own papers. Awesome. We now understand centralized versus decentralized, and we also understand peer-to-peer. So to summarize everything together into blockchain and Bitcoin, let's view all of these papers and put it together, which would represent a block. And when there's other groups who also have papers and who also do peer-to-peer with us, then you have block. And then if you can imagine an imaginary line between these two, that would be the chain, making blockchain. And the more blocks there are, then the stronger and more permanent it becomes. Now, Bitcoin is just the usage of the blockchain. You can really think of it like fiat money is to the banking system, so then Bitcoin would be the usage on the blockchain. Obviously, this is an oversimplification, but nonetheless, this is the easiest way to not only understand the reasoning behind it, but also the powerful why that's behind it as well. Double congratulations. You now also understand blockchain and also Bitcoin. You can now slap hashtag blockchain into your bio and flex on everybody how smart you are. Now that we understand the fundamentals, before we jump into how to make some disgusting profits from it, flick that like button if you found this enjoyable or valuable so far, and turn that like button into a cool shade of blue. It just really helps show that I'm not the only one laughing at my own jokes. For this next part, I recommend you take a deep breath and have a sip of water, because what we're about to show is some next level 200 IQ plays. There are 5 monumental points, starting with number 1 is that the future is inevitable. You might have heard the question been said a lot that, is it too late to invest into Bitcoin, or is it too late to invest into crypto? Well, the short answer is no. The reason being is that technology is always going to be innovating. The future is always going to be there. Think of how Apple phones get better and better every single year. Think of how Facebook has pivoted into the virtual reality space using metaverse. And also think about Tesla vehicles, and their batteries are more and more efficient every single year. Same thing with blockchain, is that it's always going to be innovating, it's always going to be growing. It is part of the future. When you understand this concept that technology will always be growing, then the question of is it too late to invest becomes completely irrelevant, because when you invest and when you put your money into the technology, then your money is going to be growing alongside with that technology. And let's face it, our beliefs affect our decisions. I'll say it again. Our beliefs affect our decisions. So me believing and me knowing that blockchain and the technology is always going to be around, always innovating, that gives me confidence in my investment decisions. And knowing this will make us insanely rich. It's like first investing into Apple when they came out with the iPhone, because you know for a fact that everybody is going to be using a smartphone. Same for Bitcoin, except in this case, fiat currency or fiat money, we've already understood that it is fundamentally flawed. Bitcoin is really the only solution these days. This is why Bitcoin is a disruptive technology. A disruptive technology is like what the name says, it disrupts that industry. Think of how Tesla cars with their electric vehicles disrupted the entire automobile market and is currently worth over $1 trillion. And now Bitcoin is also disrupting the space of the entire financial system. Number 2, blockchain technology uses and evolution. With blockchain use cases, there is actually nearly an infinite amount of uses. So, for example, some genius thought instead of just having transactions inside of each block, which is for Bitcoin, then what if we had a ton of information inside of it? That's why you have amazing projects being born like Ethereum, which acts like the base building block for new crypto coins and projects. It's like what an app store would be for an app, or what a cute little gingerbread house would be, and then you can build whatever you want from it. Ethereum gives you the base foundation, and then you can build whatever you want on top of that blockchain. So for your crypto coin or for your project, it's going to be anything from banking, gaming, security, literally everything that you can imagine or use your creative problem solving to. Number 3, decentralized and united. I know decentralized and united sounds a little bit contradictory, but I believe Bitcoin is literally going to be the single thing that connects every single human across the world. Whether you're leftist, right-wing, black, white, Asian, you got different looking nipples, doesn't matter, it's going to be connecting everyone. Because it's one thing that we can all agree upon is that we want to shift the power away from the centralized government back towards the people, making it centralized and also uniting everyone at the same time. Number 4, mass adoption is starting to happen. In 1997, there were 150 million internet users, growing 63% every single year, making it the fastest adoption of any technology ever seen. Today, we have over 150 million crypto users, growing 113% year over year, which actually makes it twice more than the internet, which held the #1 record for the fastest adoption of any technology out there. And for the people saying that it's just too complicated to be adopted, that's where they're wrong, because you don't need to understand a technology in order to use it. Think of our phones or the internet. 99% of people don't know how it works, but they still use it. Those who see the opportunity before mass adoption can make a ton of profits from it. The number of users double each and every single year, and Bitcoin gives an annual return of 200%, which means you double your money every single year. Which is why you have massive companies like crypto.com who recently bought the famous Staples Center naming rights for an insane $700 million, why Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and more huge companies are buying Bitcoin simply because they got billions and billions of dollars in cash. So when you add inflation to that equation, they're actually losing millions and millions of dollars because the value of the currency is being inflated. And it's not just big companies that see the future, but also the people that hold Bitcoin. Even with a 20 to 30% drop in price, 80% of people holding it still have not sold. This shows mass conviction and shows mass confidence as well into the technology, because when you hold Bitcoin, you have power, you have freedom, and you also have ownership in the purest form possible. And lastly, you have El Salvador becoming the first country to make Bitcoin legal tender, paving the way for more and more countries to also follow suit. So there you have corporations, countries, and masses of people all adopting Bitcoin. And lastly, number 5, deflationary scarce asset. There's currently about 39.8 billion paper notes in circulation altogether. And on the flip side, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, which means that Bitcoin is naturally deflationary, meaning that the supply goes down. This is because some have already been lost or destroyed. Naturally, with more and more demand growing every single year, as we saw with the user base doubling every single year, with such a fixed, limited supply but a growing demand, it's just going to be pushing the price of Bitcoin up and up every single year. So there we have it. 5 empowering pieces of knowledge, giving you an unshakable foundation of confidence when investing in the future of crypto.
Congratulations! Congratulations! Congratulations!
Now let's jump into which cryptos to invest in and make some disgusting profits. It can feel pretty overwhelming investing in crypto because there's just so many coins out there. And we're also trying to avoid the scams because we ain't looking to get played here.
It was Squid Games! We went to 0! Yo!
So to figure out which cryptos we want to invest in, it depends on what type of investor that we want to be. And there are 3 types. Number 1 is low commitment, low risk, but still great reward. And that is simply buying and holding Bitcoin years and years without having to ever look at the price, because we just know for a fact that blockchain is the future. And with Bitcoin having an average annual return of over 200% for the past 10 years, compared to traditional investments like the stock market, which only returns 10% every single year, Bitcoin has a great return and also is the lowest risk compared to all the other cryptocurrencies. And the second type of investor has medium commitment, medium risk, and high reward. Market Sentiment analyzed 2,000 cryptocurrencies over the past 8 years to figure out what gave the most effective returns in the crypto market. And the best strategy that they came up with is that on the first of every month, they invested into the top 10 cryptocurrencies. So for example, if you have $1,000 on January 1st, you would invest $100 into Bitcoin, $100 into Ethereum, and then so on and so forth. And then on February 1st, they have another $1,000. They invest $100 into the top 10 individually. This is an extremely easy strategy to implement, and it really doesn't require a whole ton of commitment. And we have the last type of investor, which has high commitment, high risk, but God level rewards. If you're looking for the most disgusting gains and strive to be the next crypto millionaire, there is an amazing 2 to 3% chance that a crypto will even give a 10,000+% return. Let's make sure that we're clear on some terminology. When we talk about investing, it usually means that you buy and mostly hold. Trading means that you buy and sell on a regular basis, usually on a daily increment. The thing with traders though is that 90% of traders lose money. And not only that, there's a 60% chance that a crypto isn't even gonna go up in value. As a trader, you are going up against highly advanced algorithmic trading bots, hedge funds with billions and billions of dollars, and super experienced traders with years and years of experience, all competing against everyone that is less competent than they are, which is 90% of the market. So if you are a noob trying out trading and trying to learn it for the first time, always start with a small amount and also prepare your butthole, because 90% of the time you are going to get screwed out of your money. Or you can be a degenerate like me when I first started and I had a large amount of money and lost over $6,000. Even with all that said, I know that won't discourage some of us tenacious degenerates looking to still make that FU money, which is why I will still be showing how to find those 100x gems. And obviously, as a side note, I might look like a doctor, but I am definitely not a financial advisor. So please make sure you mitigate your risk and do your own research. Let's first understand our goal, and that is to be an early investor. For example, when Facebook came out with Metaverse, it would have been very smart to invest into cryptocurrencies that are related to virtual reality, because we want to buy the coins before they're super hyped up. So right in the beginning, when they're super cheap, before anybody knows about it, before a lot of people invest into it, that is where we want to be. We want to be the early adopters before it comes up in price. And that's why I made a Google Doc with a ton of super valuable information and a lot of resources that you can check out as well. So the very first link is Crypto to Lambo. Super important, how many Bitcoin you need to get a Lambo. The second link is a lot of lingo and just terminology when you are inside the crypto space, just to get yourself familiarized with. The third is Jeff Booth really explaining how Bitcoin is for a fact going to be dominating the space in the very near future. And then the other important links to CZ, which is the owner of Binance, so the largest cryptocurrency exchange, also giving his 2 cents into the space. So a few channels and a few resources that are going to help when finding those early gems so that you can be an early adopter. The first one is going to be Alex Becker's channel. Another one is going to be Journey Crypto. And then a few other links down here as well. A lot on Twitter, because with channels like Alex Becker, he gets hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views on each and every single video. And when there is so many people viewing these videos, there's obviously going to be a lot of people buying and FOMOing into these projects. So for example, if you see one of his videos super early, let's just say you turn on notifications, so you subscribe and also turn on the bell notification. And by the way, if you want to see more content, you can also subscribe and turn on the bell notification for my channel. So when he released his recent video, then he mentioned Altura and another project called Degen. Obviously, he mentioned many other cryptos, but right when he releases this, then a lot of people are going to be seeing it, which again translates over to more people looking to buy into these projects. So right when the video was released, it was right at around 2 p.m. Right when it was released, as you can see, the price went up, and same for the coin right here as well. Right at around 2 p.m. it goes all the way up here. So when you're able to buy into these projects, you can actually make a quick daily profit. Going into Twitter now. Obviously, with Twitter, it's not just a place full of toxicity and a bunch of triggered people. But if you're able to follow the right people, then you can find a lot of cool conversations and even find a lot of those early projects. So for example, when Thetan Arena first came out, you want to be right in the early adopter stage here. And then when it goes up, you can get some dirty profits and gains as well. And same for Altura, really amazing project right when it first came out. People understand the use case and the technology. If you don't know, Altura is for NFTs, and basically they make NFTs more 3D. Instead of just a static photo, then they actually make it animated. And when you see that potential and that technology, when you first are able to get into here right before it pumps, then there is a lot of potential for profits. And all you need to do is go over to these pages. So right here you got Take Green Pill, he's a really good page. You can also check out other pages such as Michael Saylor and Into the Cryptoverse. But when you're able to follow and consume a lot of these resources, then you are inside of that environment and you are able to find what is on the hype and also join in a lot of conversations before there's a lot of momentum that's getting into it and a lot more viewership. It's how I was able to find Time Wonderland, which, if you haven't seen my previous videos, is a staking project, and I was able to get in at an earlier entry price at around $5,000 to $6,000 before it pumped up. Plus, on top of that, I was able to get a lot of the rebasing rewards. And then the last few links here is Instagram. Obviously, Instagram is more of an entertainment platform, but nonetheless, if you're able to still consume a lot of the content, sometimes the algorithm, which is worth billions and billions of dollars, is able to have a pretty good idea and show you the best performing content and what is currently trending in the market. So there you have it, 3 types of crypto investors, and you don't even need to stick with one. It's nice to experiment a little just so that you can get more perspective and more experience, just because that's more skill and knowledge for you in the ever-changing space of crypto. When the internet first came out, there was a lot of FUD being spread around. If you don't know what FUD is, it is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Basically any negative emotions that is being spread. And ask yourself this: if you heard about the internet right when it first came out, would you have made the right decision to invest into it? Well, with everything that we just learned, you now have a strong offense by being able to actively invest and also understanding the fundamentals of blockchain. But it's also equally as important to have an amazing defense, which I rarely hear anyone talk about in the space. Because when we hear FUD, it's totally fine to feel a little bit emotional over it, because we are human at the end of the day. But it's not okay when we make emotional decisions off of that and then start selling low and then buying back when it's high.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So to be equipped with a great defense, there really is only 2 simple quick strategies that we need to have. Number 1, stop and ask yourself, what effect does this FUD have on the future of blockchain? So for example, China always bans Bitcoin multiple times, and they're going to keep saying that they're going to ban it over and over again in the future. So just because China bans it doesn't mean other countries aren't going to be using it, such as El Salvador, for example, making it legal tender. So if, for example, China were to ban the internet, no one cares. People are still going to use it. And the technology is inevitable. It's gonna happen with or without you. Strategy 2, ask yourself how or who is benefiting from this FUD. The short answer is that it's always money, it's always control. So mainstream media is always looking to get more views, and in order to do that, they really need to sensationalize a lot of the headlines and get as much attention as possible. But everyone knows that what they say is usually utter bullshit. And if it's only being talked about today, it's not news. So going back to the previous example of China, it is obviously a communist government, which makes it one of the most centralized systems, making it the complete opposite of what Bitcoin is, which is a decentralized system. So if you think about it, if Bitcoin were to fail, which is highly unlikely, then the Chinese government would benefit, because Bitcoin is a direct threat to the centralized system of a communist system. So next time you hear Bitcoin being banned, just know that whoever or whichever country is saying that, then it's only benefiting themselves, and they just don't give a flying about your interests. And there you have 2 simple strategies to defend yourself when you experience psychological warfare. And if you still don't trust yourself, maybe you can put yourself in a coma and wake up a few months or a few years later. Obviously not medical advice. We are now enlightened with blockchain technology and just joined the frontier of human sovereignty. Positivity and knowledge doesn't cost a single thing to share, and that positivity actually comes right back to us exponentially. So now you have the power of the holy word of blockchain. So share this with your closest friend or family member to also empower and enlighten them. And after that, you can also share your referral code so you can both earn some free Bitcoin. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more valuable content like this, or you really enjoyed it because it's super entertaining or super knowledgeable, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and also make sure to hit the bell icon as well. So spread that free knowledge, and I'm excited we could join together and see what the bright future holds. Peace out.